Car history. I've had a pretty hectic car history. I learned to drive fairly young, and then I stayed many years without owning a car. I just didn't need one. I always managed to get a place near my workplace. I got transferred a lot across the country, and I didn't have much to carry with me, really, from one place to another. And I always moved close to my workplace. So I had my first car. I owned my first car age 29, and I went for this beauty. It's a Volkswagen Polo, and it looks pink, but it's not pink. Apparently, the color is called Canyon Red. My boss kept on saying, "Why did you buy a metallic pink car?" And I was like, "It's Canyon Red. It says on the paperwork, it's Canyon Red." And I was like, "It's pink, mate." I had a grand total, a budget of £750. And I bought that car from a Polish couple. The most noteworthy thing about the car really was 3 huge scratches on one of the wing at the front. The car at some point got attacked either by a brown bear or somebody with a pitchfork. I don't know which one. I didn't ask. Anyway, I bought the car. I needed it. I had just been transferred to a workplace further away from where I used to live. And I bought the car. And I was like, well, I learned to drive on one of those. My mom had a Polo, exactly the same model, but it was a 1.4 liter with 60 horsepower. This one was 1.6 with 75 horsepower. I was like, it's gonna rip. Long story short, it didn't rip. Very slow car. But my first car, my very first car, I remember I bought it, we signed the papers, went downhill away from those people on my way home to go and show my car. And I got to a traffic light and I was like, wheel spin. What I need right now is wheel spin. And I dropped the clutch at the green light, and the stereo just flew off the dashboard and onto the back seat. Nothing to do with the torque of the car. It didn't have any. Simply put, the stereo was stuck to the dashboard with blue tack. So I sorted it out with more blue tack, and that was about it. The car was reliable for about a year. I think the problem is it was a 75 horsepower car, and I was trying to drive it like a 200 horsepower car. The head gasket gave up, and the repair would have cost me more than the price of the car. So my first car was taken away. I scrapped it. Sadness. I saved some money, and I don't know why, but suddenly I thought, my God, once upon a time, I was a student and I was working in factories in summer, and there was a girl there. She was working there full time. So every school holiday, I'd end up working next to her, and we'd catch up. And one day I went there, and she was covered in scars. And I was like, "What's up?" And she had had a driving license. Long story short, her father pushed her to buy a Toyota Celica. I believe that was a Mark 6. And she was scared of that car. She always felt that car was too fast for her. It was her first car. But her dad wanted the household to look good. They wanted a nice, shiny car in front of the house. And she crashed it and got hurt very badly. And I remember reading online, and they were calling the Mark 6 Toyota Celica at the time the Porsche of the poor. So anyway, years and years later, I've just scrapped my Polo, and I thought I could do with a Porsche for poor people. I'm poor, right? Grand total budget, £750. And I start shopping for a Toyota Celica. And I got that one. Look at this beauty. Purchased from somebody who posted on Gumtree. He was waiting for me with the car parked in the car park of a supermarket. That's where the car lived, apparently. And it wasn't a Mark 6, it was a Mark 5 with the pop-up headlight. And I looked at the car. It was a bit rough, a bit old. And I started it, and it sounded like a bag of bolts. And I was like, I need to walk away from this. This is a wreck. Switch on the headlight. They popped up, and the kid inside of me just grabbed my sleeve and just went, "We need that one, man." So I bought it. Not a good purchase. A friend of mine had dropped me for the transaction. I was allowed to test drive the car at 5 miles per hour on the car park, so I had no idea how the car drove, really. It's just a pop-up headlight. Anyway, I bought the car. My friends start driving away, and I'm like, I'm going to follow you because I don't know the way back to Stevenage. That's where I lived at the time. And 15 minutes later, I started recognizing, where I was, and I thought, I'm gonna drop a gear, floor it, and I'm gonna overtake her. And I dropped a gear and floored it. And she was in an old Renault 19 diesel, and she started gaining on me. She wasn't even aware we were racing. I was like, oh, there's something wrong here. It took about £1,000 to make the car roadworthy and do all the repairs. It was a wreck. Got the car working order. I loved it. It was a 2-liter engine, 155 horsepower, twin cam, fairly gutless below 5,500 RPM. But once you get to that, it started pushing, actually, very nimble. Absolutely love the car. I picked it up from the garage that I just repaired it and made it roadworthy. And 5 minutes later, I got my first speeding ticket because such is life. So yeah, I kept that car for a while. I had to change the wheels because the wheels were all buckled. So I got the wheels from the Mk3, good-looking wheels. And then the head gasket went because why not? So back on my feet for a while, walking. And a friend of mine called me. He was working in the garage, shout out to Dev. And he just went, "Hey, do you want another Celica?" And I was like, hell yeah. And he sent me a picture of this baby. And he was like, belongs to an old lady. She's about to move to Spain, right? And she wants to sell the car. She doesn't really care much about money. She wants to make sure the car will be with somebody who will take care of it. And I was like, I'm a man. I went there, had a chit chat with her, and we agreed on a price of £500 with a brand new MOT. So second Celica, and that's probably one of my favorite cars. I absolutely loved it. I had so many adventures with that car. I went driving through snow all over England, drove all the way to Belgium in winter, snow all over the place. Just that car was just a mountain goat. It would go just everywhere. Really good handling, really, really fun engine, and bulletproof. I kept it almost 3 years. That's how much I liked it. So a lot of road trip with that car, a lot of memories. If you make memories, car guys will know, car people will know. You make memories with a car the same way you make memories with people. The more time you spend, the more adventure you go on. And that car really was my first travel buddy. We went all over the place with so many people. I missed it. I miss it. I really miss it. Sometimes I look at prices of Mark V Celicas, and you can't find one for £500 anymore. Prices have gone up. But anyway, so there was nothing wrong with the car, really, but I had come upon a little bit of money, and I was like, I fancy something different, something special, something a bit rare. I want to be different. And I bought this. This is a Mitsubishi FTO Mi-Vec. So 2-liter V6, about 200 horsepower, Japanese gray import. The kind of car your local Mitsubishi garage will have absolutely no idea what to do with. So I bought that. And I had problems with it. And my local Mitsubishi garage had no idea what to do with it. On the plus side, it's a good-looking car. Felt a bit flimsy compared to the Celica. You slam the door and it felt less sturdy. But that 2-liter engine, man, that V6, oh, great noise and a lot of show. So it had a slush-matic, you know, a 4-speed automatic gearbox, and you could get in semi-auto, select the gears manually. You need to select it about 3/4 of a second before you want it to change. You know, it was kind of like that. And if you were dropping a gear with that thing, you better hope you had your seatbelt, because it was very, very jerky in manual mode. But fantastic engine. It was very high revving. I think it was not too far 8,000, you know, 8,000 RPM, very velvety or at cruising speed, and then an absolute howler of an engine in high revs. Pretty revvy too. Absolutely loved it. So that was on the plus side. Still on the plus side, good looking car, very rare, very nice. On the downside, the engine exploded when I took the car to Belgium. So there's that. Something went through the engine, probably an engine bit, and it went through one of the piston and then exited with other bits of the engine through the side of the block. So there's that. So I stayed without the car for a while after that. I was like, I'm a bit unlucky with my choices. Went back to Belgium for a while, drove my mom's Polo, you know, the 1.4, 60 horsepower. Coming back from a series of sports car to that, it was actually terrifying. You take a corner in the little Polo at 30 miles per hour, and your ear is at road level. It's terrifying. It takes time to get used to that level of roly-poliness. But yeah. And I came back to England, and I was like, okay, I need something solid, something reliable, right? But at the same time, I've been without a car for 3 years, so I want a bit of fun, really. So I went for a Mazda Rx8, because, right, and here she is. Gorgeous thing, absolutely gorgeous thing. So that was my first rotary engine car, and absolutely loved it. It was the low power 192, so 4-port, 192 horsepower. Mazda's been very, very optimistic with these figures. High mileage, so it was over 80,000 miles, 83, I think. It was a lovely car. It started having some issues on hot start, so we knew that the compression levels were not the best, but absolutely lovely car. Never let me down. I managed once to get 300 miles with a full tank of fuel, so there's that. And because I was filling up at BP, I was getting a lot of Nectar points on my Nectar card. In fact, I was working 5 days a week, and it was costing me £85 of petrol every 5 days. So yeah, I kept it for 6 months, and then I was like, you need to be reasonable, right? Grow up. You need a car that doesn't cost you much, so you can save up some money and move. I wanted to move from where I was, and I needed a deposit for a rental. And I'm afraid I went too reasonable. I bought this. So that's a Kia Picanto. I don't remember if it was a 1 liter or 1.1. It doesn't really matter. It cost me £250, so there's that. The road tax was like, I don't know, a bag of chips a year. Insurance company laughed at me. They were like, we pay you to keep that car if you want. Petrol, didn't drink any. Very reliable car, and it brought me from A to B. There's no passion, forget about that. There's no speed, forget about that as well. I've never struggled before overtaking a tractor. But the day I was driving the Kia Picanto, I experienced that. So there's that. But anyway, did the job, brought me to work every day, brought me home every day, right? I think I kept it 2.5 months, and I was like, it's actually too reasonable, right? And a friend of mine David. There's always a David somewhere, right? It's the same as well. He said, hey, do you want a Golf? I've got a Golf 1.4 S, high mileage, ready to go. And I was like, yeah, Golf Mk4, rock solid. They never go wrong, right? Didn't even check the state of the car. Just went, yeah. And I gave him the Kia Picanto. I was like, you can give that to somebody else or sell it. It's yours. And I picked up the Golf. And 2 days later, I was on my way to Belgium. I went to see my mom, saw my friends, spent some time there. And that car never, ever went wrong. It lost a bit of exhaust. That's about it. Just when I came back from Belgium, actually. I was driving through Belgium. The first thing I did was like, okay, it's a 1.4 S. So it's only a 1.4, but it's a S. Hopefully, S is for sport. It's not. So you have your accelerator, and if you press it more, it makes more noise. It doesn't translate into more speed, but it makes more noise. But if you weren't into speed, that car was utterly reliable. Never, ever let me wrong. Never let me down. I moved houses so many times with that car, like all across England in a short period of time. I think I did Ascot, Grimsby. I know, it's a move, right? Then Grimsby, Dover, Grimsby, Spalding, and then Spalding, Peterborough, I believe. So, yeah, once you get the seat down, it's a TARDIS, a lot of space. It's a lovely car. Took it twice to go on holiday abroad. It's not a thoroughbred, right? It's not a sports car. There's no passion behind it, but it's a reliable donkey. And as a car guy, I think I can actually appreciate that. It was a very hardworking, reliable donkey. Didn't cost me much in overheads. Never went wrong, and just did its job. I knew if I turned the key, it'd start. And for that reason, it's probably one of my favorite car out there. It's at a time where life was hectic. I needed a car in order to find jobs, in order to keep my head above water. I needed something reliable that didn't cost me much, something I could rely on. And that car was exactly that, there and then. Eternally grateful for having found that car. A lockdown came and went, and I was like, I'm bored again. So decided to buy another car. Had a look with the fiance at the time, and I was like, those are the car I've owned that I wouldn't mind getting back, or those are other cars that I wouldn't mind getting. So there was a Celica Mark6 and Mark7, and she was like, no. There was an FTO, and she was like, no. There was a Hyundai Coupe. I think they're good-looking cars. Not fast, not a lot of power, but they're good-looking cars, and they come usually loaded with a fair amount of kit for the price, right? And she was like, no. And then she looked at the last option. She was like, oh, that's a nice car. I was like, yeah, that's an RX8. They're lovely, but they cost a lot in maintenance. And she was like, that's a nice looking car. So I bought an RX8. And that's how this channel was created. My journey to buy an RX8, which had at some point in its life very obviously been unloved. A lot of not careful owners. It's cost me a fair bit of money I wouldn't say to right all of the wrongs. That car's never left me stranded. That car's never let me down. Took it to Belgium twice. We've taken it all across England. And it's been as reliable as any other cars I've ever had, apart from the FTO that exploded. There was just a lot of little things that needed to be sorted, ancillaries. And I also wanted to buy upgrades or change things on the car before those things would go wrong. I did the right thing this time. Before buying the RX8, I read a lot about it, like a lot. I became a member of the RX8 Owners Club before I actually bought the RX8, and I asked hundreds and hundreds of questions. And therefore, I've done a lot of preemptive upgrades, preemptive maintenance. And so far, it has proven to be the right choice. Touch wood, very nervously. So here you go. That is my my car history. Very hectic, very all over the place. So yeah, we had a 1 liter, 1.1 liter in there. We've got a 2.6 liter rotary engine, or is it the 1.3? Who knows? We had a 2 liter V6. A lot of Japanese, I realize, and a couple of Germans. But here you go. That's my car history. You guys, let me know, what was your car history? Please comment below. Let me know if you've had the same cars I had. Have you had an FTO? Have you had a Celica? Have you got an RX8? Have you owned a hard-working, reliable donkey? Because there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It has a beauty of its own, isn't it? A car that just does what it was designed to do and does it very well. Let me know. Any comment, any likes, any subscription would be appreciated a lot. You take care. Bye-bye.